in the 90-second presentation, imagine that you are an employee of the company now, and you encounter an executive who asks you why sustainable development is important and how that's linked to the team's topic. You have 90 seconds in which to convince the executive why this needs to be addressed, and only one member of the team will do this. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and start, and I'll start the timer then.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
It's Monday morning. You open your front door to head to work. The air is hot, heavy, and clogged with pollution. Your eyes water. You have a cough that never seems to disappear. You can no longer simply walk out your front door and breathe fresh air. Instead, before opening doors or windows in the morning, you check your phone to see what the air quality will be. Do you really want your grandchildren to live in a world severely affected by global warming? If we continue the crypto practices as they are today, that would be the reality. In 2050, it's predicted that coal will be down to just 16% from the 66% it is now. Through the current cryptocurrency exchange practices, we are using enough energy to power a small country. We are targeting developing countries with a human index score of less than 8.5. Instead of helping these communities grow, we are tearing them down. We are depleting resources, destroying communities, and causing more harm than good. For every $1 spent on cryptocurrencies, 49 cents are required to offset the environmental damage. If we don't make a change now, we will be in deep, deep trouble. The cryptocurrency industry is a $1 trillion sector and increased by 187.5% in the last year. This industry is only growing. We are asking you, the board of directors of blockchain.com, one of the most influential companies in the space, to accept our proposed solution. We believe by promoting coins that require proof of stake over proof of work mining, we will be taking a step in the right direction. We ask you to advocate this key difference to your users. Knowledge is power, and we strongly believe that customers should know the environmental effects this type of mining causes. We hope you can help us detour this craze towards a more sustainable route by adding a section on your website. If possible, we hope that you can provide an indication on how the coin was mined before the user purchases that coin. Remember, a better and more breathable tomorrow starts with you. Thank you so much for your time.
The 10-minute one you did very efficiently, so that was great. You know, in terms of presenting that kind of style, which was very different from yesterday, where you were able to use slides and visual aids and so forth, this is a little bit different because me as the listener and the observer, I don't have those sort of anchor points to look at to help me figure out, you know, where are you in the presentation, or there's no structure there. So I can only try and follow and absorb your message based on what I'm hearing. And so my advice would be, when you're doing that kind of a presentation, to really think about it from the listener's perspective, and what's the, how can you get the listener in the best position to absorb and take on board the information that you're sharing. And so, you know, I always tell people, when you're talking to somebody, make it like a conversation, like you're talking to them, not like you're reading a paper that you wrote. Because if you're going to be compelling in an article or a paper, you'll use a lot of detail and a lot of data and stats and things like that. But that's not really how we talk conversationally, because it's harder for the listener to absorb that. So just, you know, be mindful of that difference. One thing you can do in preparing is just imagine that you're at the dinner table with your family trying to explain what this is and why they should do it. And so, do you think they'll understand your presentation or not? Maybe a family is a little bit less sophisticated than a traditional business audience, you know, particularly for the topic at hand. But still, it's a good gauge to make sure that your presentation, that you've boiled it down sufficiently to the simplest elements, which is really important in order to convey your message. And so, you know, I give this feedback because your presentation was very rich in detail. You cited a lot of information and stats, but it was a little bit hard for the listener to take all of it on board. I think that's really the main feedback that I have. I mean, the research that you all did, the work that you put into the project was very well done, very impressive. You know, all of the information was there. You did address the ethical issues that you were asked to address. I think it's just more about the packaging and the presentation, right?
Thank you. Yes, definitely. And also because it was like 10 minutes. So I didn't want to do it like boring, but also like
Yeah.
interesting. But, you know, saying the facts, you know, like numbers are really important. So, but thank you for the feedback. I really get it.
I did like, by the way, I think it was Carolia who started with, you know, did you know? And that was interesting. It got attention. So I think that was an effective technique. It might not have fit exactly within the roles that we were asked to play today, because I think in this case, the consulting team is asked to come back. And so, yeah, the board does know because you've already discussed all those things with the board before, and now they're looking for some follow-up information about how you're going to address the issues. And I noted here that it was 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So about a full third of the time that you devoted to explaining the issues all over again. And maybe that wasn't necessary to go into that much detail. So it's really important to focus on what's the situation, what's my role, what am I being asked to do? And usually what you're trying to do is influence somebody. You're trying to influence somebody to make a decision. You're trying to influence somebody to behave in a certain way or not behave in a certain way. So always important to put yourself in the shoes of the listener as you're preparing for how you're going to deliver your message, because it's not just the information, but it's like, how are you going to persuade them?
Yes, thank you. I was maybe just a little bit confused sometimes with the instructions, because I thought we were actually required to explain like the whole ethical dilemma once again. So maybe that was a little bit confusing. But yeah, thank you for the feedback as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, you did a great job actually outlining the ethical dilemmas. So are so impressive, the work that you all put into it, and you know what you come to the table with here. I think it's very, very impressive, very inspiring for me to see all of you go through this. So thank you so much for everything you put into it.